Hey, hope you're doing well. And you probably haven't given much thought before from where your English speaking days of the week come from. But it's a really interesting story. It involves a lot of killing, and it also involves Thor and it involves Odin. But before we get to even Thor or Odin, I just want to tell you really quickly about the area that we today call the United Kingdom. It used to be controlled, like before the year 0 AD roughly, it used to be controlled by this group of people called the Celts. And the Celts had a nature-focused religion called Druidism. So you were a Druid if you followed Druidism, okay? Then what happened was, around the year 0 AD roughly, the Roman Empire, which, is based down here in Rome in Italy, the Roman Empire took over a massive amount of territory, and that included spreading all the way up here to what we today call the United Kingdom, and they set up an outpost called Britannia, okay? So of course, in Britannia, just like in all the rest of the ancient Rome territory, you had to speak the language of ancient Rome. And it wasn't called Roman, and it wasn't called ancient Roman or anything weird like that. It was called Latin. So all this territory's people had to learn how to speak Latin. So the Latin days of the week are right here. Dies Solis, Lunae, Martis, Mercuri, Jovis, Venersis, Saturni. Sorry if my Latin pronunciation isn't up to scratch, but in Italian we've got a cool way of pronouncing these, and I'll show you that in a minute. But where did these Latin days of the week come from? Well, sun and moon, that's pretty straightforward. Martis, well, that is the Roman god of war, Mars, who actually was a plagiarism of the Greek god of war, Ares, okay? And Mercury, the messenger god, that Roman god, well, he was actually plagiarized from the original Greek god Hermes. Jupiter, who was the god of gods in ancient Rome and controlled the lightning bolts and all that stuff, well, Jupiter was also plagiarized from the Greek version Zeus, okay? Next, you can guess that Venus, the god of love, well, she was plagiarized from the Greek version Aphrodite, and Saturn was plagiarized from the Greek version Cronus. But that's where the days of the week come from, okay? And in fact, if you go to the Italian, so Spanish, Italian, French, these are all languages that come from Latin originally. You can see that in Italian, my family, when they communicate with each other, they use words that are very similar to the Latin words. So for example, martedì, Tuesday, sounds like Mars, mercoledì, Mercury, Giovedi, Jupiter, venerdì, Venus, and so on, okay? So then what happened was, you might be wondering, well, okay, if that's all well and good, but why do we call Monday Moon Day or Monday? Why don't we call it Lunar Day? And why don't we call Tuesday Mars Day? Why don't we call Tuesday Mars Day? You're probably thinking, well, why are days of the week so different? Well, what happened was the Roman Empire was massive. You remember that picture? It was absolutely massive, and it got too fast too quickly. And around the year 500 AD, it had to split up into two halves because it was too difficult to manage. But by splitting up into two halves, they ended up putting themselves in a position where they lost a lot of their territory to invaders. And what happened was, over here, this part of Europe, we call this part Germanic Europe. It's kind of what we call Germany today, roughly. Well, this Germanic part of Europe, these three tribes invaded Britannia. So you had the Angles, the Saxons, and the Jutes. These three Germanic tribes invaded Britannia, okay? And they called it Angleland, and they made the people there, these poor people, they'd probably just spent the last few hundred years learning Latin. Now they had to forget Latin and start learning Anglo-Saxon Germanic languages, okay? So that was around the year 500 AD. And what happened was, because the Anglo-Saxons were the conquerors, they chose their versions of gods to replace the Latin-speaking versions, okay? So their god of war wasn't Mars, it was Tyr, and that's Tuesday. Their messenger, the person that flew in the sky with eight-legged horse and all that stuff, well, that was Woden or Odin, and that's Wednesday. Thor, the god of lightning, was their equivalent of Jupiter. Freya, or Frigg, is the god of love and reproduction and stuff, and so Friday comes from that. Now, their day following Friday was called Laundry Day, and I guess that they thought, well, Laundry day sounded a bit lame, so to this day we still just call it Saturn's Day, after the Latin word, okay? So in summary, all of the days of the week, except for Saturday, come from Anglo-Saxon words, okay? In fact, even sun is an Anglo-Saxon word, and even moon is an Anglo-Saxon word. That's why we don't call Monday Lunar Day, and we don't call Sunday Solar Day, okay? So they're all named after Anglo-Saxon words, except for Saturday, which we keep as the quote-unquote original Latin word. So I hope that all made sense. Hope I explained that in a way that was easy to understand. Take care. See you later. Bye.